Hey everybody, welcome back. First, I want to give a shout out to all the new subscribers that have joined over the last week or so. Very exciting to have you. Hope that you enjoy the content moving forward. So this week's video, I want to discuss a little bit about wellness and trying to lead a somewhat balanced life in medical school and residency. It's a very tough thing to do, obviously. I've had a few people reach out to me asking, how do you try to balance living a normal life while being a resident? And I will tell you, it's not easy. Both medical school and residency are very stressful. You're working a lot of hours, you're studying, you're not getting much time for sleep, much time to do normal people things. But that being said, I think it's really important to, maintain some degree of wellness so you don't burn out in the process. So the first part of this video, I'm going to title The Balancing Act. And really, I think that there are four things that you really have to balance. One is the obvious, the work itself. So studying, work, research, all the academic things that you're doing. That's one. And then the normal life things that you have to balance with that. The second thing is sleep. So I think that's pretty straightforward, trying to get enough sleep. Three, I'm going to combine exercising and just overall health in general. And then the fourth thing that you try to balance is your social life. In regards to sleep, I think it's pretty obvious that it's probably not realistic to say that you're going to get 8+ hours every night. But I think it should be a goal to at least get 6 hours a night on most nights. And I think part of that comes from good sleep hygiene, but also being efficient during the day and not putting things off to later in the day. So getting your notes done before you leave the hospital so that you're not getting home at 9 or 10 p.m. or still writing notes after you get home. Me personally, I would say on a typical day, I try to sleep from around 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. So that gives me a good 7 hours. And that's me prioritizing sleep. So it's not an easy thing to do necessarily, but I think that if you don't make it a priority, it's eventually going to lead to you burning out. I mean, you can go a few days of getting 4 hours, 5 hours, 3 hours of sleep, and you can make it just fine for a few days. But when you're talking about, 5-6 years of residency, I don't think it's sustainable to keep that up. So in regards to exercise and overall health. So this is really tough to do and totally understandable because you're working long hours, and when you come back at the end of a long day, it's pretty unlikely that you're going to have the energy or the stamina or the motivation to work out. So something that I try to do is any day that I'm off, I make it a priority to at least, get 30 minutes of exercise in, whatever it may be. And then on any day that I, somehow get off before 5 p.m., I think that instead of just coming home and laying down on the couch, I make it a priority to try and crank out a little workout right when I get home before dinner, because after dinner there's really no shot that I'm going to get a good workout in. For some people, they're able to work out in the morning before work, and if you're that type of person, that's great. It's probably pretty tough because usually that means working out at 5 o'clock in the morning and getting to the hospital at 6. But if you have that motivation in the morning, it's a great time to do it. And from people that I've talked to, it tends to give them energy throughout the day as well. In regards to things that you can do to work out, I think you want to focus on things that are going to maximize your ability to work out and also maximize the convenience. So one of those things being like a stationary bike. I'm not saying you have to get a Peloton or one of those fancy bikes and pay the $40 a month subscription, but having access to some sort of workout at home is very beneficial, because then you cut out the whole, getting ready, getting dressed up to go to the gym, driving over there, parking, checking in, waiting for machines, and, burning an hour of time, like not even working out, all for a 20-minute workout. That being said, getting a gym membership can be beneficial. You just want to make sure that you're the type of person that's actually going to utilize it and not throw away those, $40 or $50 a month on the membership. I think in general, the key is consistency, as opposed to, I work out once every 2 weeks and crank out a 2-hour long workout. I think instead of doing that, it's kind of focusing on getting, at least 2 or 3 days a week of 30 minutes of some sort of exercise and staying consistent. The other part of this, I guess, section is the being healthy. I guess what I think about that is kind of eating healthy, which typically consists of, going grocery shopping and getting food and cooking for yourself, as opposed to going out to eat. I don't know, me personally, when I go out to eat, I tend to not get the most healthy options, and it's pretty hard to be healthy when you're going out to eat. But I tend to group the eating healthy and cooking part with the social aspect, or that other category. So some things that I like to do are, setting up things where your friends come over and you guys cook together and make a night out of it. And, then you're getting a little bit of social interaction, but also, saving money by cooking at home, eating healthy, and, hitting 2 birds with 1 stone, and it ends up being a pretty enjoyable night. The final category is social life. So it's really tough to maintain a social life in medical school and residency just because you have so much going on. That being said, you need to at least have some of that, I think. Interaction with people outside of work, in my opinion, ends up being really refreshing. So, it's not an everyday thing, but I would try to at least once a week get together with your friends, socialize, talk about things not related to work, and it kind of revitalizes you and gets you ready for, the next week and what there is ahead. And then hobbies. So hobbies are, I think, really important because you can also do them without people. And a lot of times in residency or medical school, your friends are busy. They're living a very similar life to you. And if all your friends are med students or residents, then they're not always going to have time to hang out. So having some hobbies to really de-stress can be very helpful. Some of the things that I do, I like to paint a little bit in my free time. I don't consider myself an artist necessarily, but it's a really good de-stressor. Doing things like crossword puzzles, watching TV shows or movies. The list goes on and on of things you can do as hobbies. So, kind of to wrap it up, I think that all of these things are important, and depending on the person, you have to prioritize the different things. So I will be honest with you, the chances that you are going to consistently maintain enough sleep, exercise, eat healthy, and have a social life is pretty rare. You might have a good week where you're able to do that, but in general, you're going to have to prioritize some of those things, and depending on what's most important to you, you can figure out the priority. All right, for the second part of this talk, I want to go a little bit into how is it, possible to make enough time to do these things? Because I'm sure a lot of you are thinking, okay, Mikey, yeah, that sounds all great, but realistically, we don't have enough time to do this. So I want to talk a little bit about what I do to kind of maximize my free time in an otherwise, very busy and stressful and time-consuming life that we live. So one thing is being efficient while you're at work. So while you're at work, get your notes done on time, finish those discharge summaries early in the day, get your, if you're operating today, get your medical reconciliation done, get the discharge instructions done, tee the patients up for discharge, use up all that little free time you have during the day so that you have a good chance of actually getting home on time. If you have 2 or 3 consults and it's 3 o'clock, try to knock them all out. Don't wait until 5 o'clock to go see those consults and end up writing notes until 9 p.m. So I think one of the biggest keys is not leaving work for yourself to do at the end of the day after you're supposed to go home. The second thing that a lot of people don't really think about that can actually take up a lot of your day is your commute. So for me personally, I specifically chose to live in a place that was very close to the hospital. So my commute is only maybe 6 or 7 minutes in the morning, and then on the way back home it's 10 minutes. So I'm really only burning 15 minutes a day traveling to and from work. But if you're in a position where it's a 30-40 minute commute to work, you end up burning maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours a day just getting to and from work between driving, parking, walking to the hospital, getting back to your car. So that's something I definitely would consider both in medical school and residency, especially when you're trying to figure out where you want to live when you're first moving to that place. The last thing I will say is trying to not procrastinate. I hit on this a little bit earlier, but I'm not only talking about the day-to-day work. So things like research projects, don't wait until your PI is all over you about getting something done before the deadline. Work on it along the way. Any free time that you get, put in a little bit of work. Grand rounds presentations. So for us, we do a grand rounds presentation every year. It can be a pretty time-consuming thing, but it's coming and you have a whole year to prepare for it. So don't wait until the last week or two and put yourself in a very stressful position. And the last thing would be like studying. So in-service exams are coming. Instead of putting yourself in this position where you procrastinated for 11 months and it's 1 month until the test and you have a horrible month where you're trying to cram and study when you're really busy, do a little bit every day. You have, let's say today you got off a little bit early, do 20 or 30 minutes of studying. I'm not saying come home and study for 3 hours a night, but, bits and pieces here and there will really pay dividends for you in the long run. All right, so that's what I got. I hope that helps. I know, again, it's easier said than done, and I will admit, I'm not necessarily the best at it, but I do my best to try and lead a somewhat well-balanced life, try to have some degree of wellness and staying healthy and preventing burnout. So I hope this video at least gives you some suggestions on how to do that, or maybe motivates you a little bit to try and incorporate a little bit of wellness into med school and residency. All right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed the content. Again, please feel free to leave me any comments. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, share it with your friends. If you're not already subscribed, go ahead and click the subscribe button. I'll keep trying to post beneficial content, and if you have any new ideas for any future videos, please let me know. All right, thank you.